Welcome to another episode of WorldMindfulness.com. Okay, today we're going to talk about two really brief things, pressure and adversity, and how it affects you when you're trying to compete at your best or how you're trying to perform at your best, regardless of what you're doing, okay? So let's get right to it. All right, pressure and adversity. What do you do when it happens? That is, when you feel stressed out and you feel like you can't take it anymore. Not when you're not when you're hurting and you know you're going to make it anyways. When you get that uh-oh moment, when you know that you're not going to make it, or you know you're not going to achieve the task that you wanted to achieve, what do you do then? That's the key. Okay, so let's talk about some couple things here. All right, so mental skills and training, right? Okay. The thing about mental skills and training is we've developed these things called landmines in our head, right? And we've dedicated our lives to not going anywhere near those things, right? So, like, we've developed our body, we've developed our spirit, we've developed all things in life to cultivate, right? But when it comes to the mind, most people avoid it like their lives depended on it, interestingly enough, right? So, mental skills and mental training. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Along with the mental skills and the mental training is going to be the mental resilience or the mental toughness. That is the ability to just stick it out and not hit the brakes when it gets hard. Like, so when you're going down the hill, right? The key is not to hit the brakes, right? Like, you know it's going to suck. You know you might die. But when do you hit the brakes? It's being able to register that I have to hit the brakes at the last second, where the rubber meets the road, where there's no possible way that I'll be able to stop and not die. That's when you hit the brakes. So how do you get there? How do you be more consistent with hitting the brakes right on the edge so you can improve, right? So you don't stop and hit the brakes a lot sooner. Alright, so we're going to talk about the performance versus pressure curve, okay? So there's two red zones ultimately, and I'll populate those real quick. Okay, so you can see red zone 1 and red zone 2. So red zone 1 is actually indicative of the lack of pressure, okay? That is, what's going to happen is you're going to play your brother in basketball, right? He's your little brother, right? He's like 5 years old. You know you're going to donkey stomp him, and you're probably going to dominate him anyways because you're a jerk, but that's besides the point. You know you're going to win, and you know it's not going to be that hard for you. So you don't try your best, okay? You take some one-handed three-point shots or some crazy things like that, all right? You don't really compete, okay? But say he gets like 9 points and you're playing to 11. What happens then? You turn it on, right? So then you go from the red zone to the green zone, okay? And there's the green zone. The green zone is indicative of where you perform the best. And then we'll talk about that second red zone. The second red zone is where there's too much stress. That's like you're playing Michael Jordan and you're in your home, you're not in your home crowd, you're away from home, and there's somebody jeering you, and somebody just killed your mother, and there's just too many things going on that you can't deal with. And everybody is different, obviously, so take that into consideration. But we'll talk about the green zone here. All right, as you can see in this curve, right? So, like I said, it raises up, and once you get to that green zone, that is when you perform at your peak, all right? And then once you get to a certain point on the green zone, it'll go ahead and drop back off again, like I said, because you're too stressed out and you can't perform correctly. All right, let's go into the video. This video is pretty much going to lead into the next thing, and without telling you what the next thing we're going to talk about is, I just want you to see if you can go ahead and count how many times the white team passes the ball, okay? So count how many times the white team passes the ball. All right, let's watch the video.
The monkey business illusion. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the ball. The correct answer is 16 passes.
All right, so what did you think? So did you see the gorilla? Be honest. Okay, I didn't see the gorilla at first also. All right, so if you counted 14 passes, you were right. If you counted anything other than that, then you weren't focused enough. And if you were focused enough to get 14 and you did see the gorilla, then you're a rare exception. That means you're you're in two places at once, pretty much, in your mind, which is exceptional. And I'm going to tell you why that's exceptional. Because if you can look at this next diagram over here, there's 4 channels in which we operate our brains. And pretty much there's only 4 channels. And you can only be in those 4 channels at once. And you can see it's narrow, and then there's broad, right? And there's internal and external. So narrow is your focus is so narrow that you're trying to get to the pinpoint to something, whatever you're trying to do, right? And broad is where you're just focused on everything. You're using peripherals and all that other stuff, okay? So internal is you're thinking within yourself, okay? It's in your mind, okay? A lot of people who have analytical problems, like they overanalyze stuff or plan too much, that's those people. And then there's the external, okay? That's where you see nothing but the outside world, and you're not having any internal dialogue or conversation with yourself whatsoever. All right, so let's talk about channel 1. Channel 1 is where your awareness is very broad, and then you're external also. So what you're doing is you're walking around. It'd be like you're on patrol and you're looking for a sniper, okay? You're just out there, you're trying to see if something's out there, and you're using peripherals and you're using all your senses to try to bring in as much as possible without focusing in on one specific thing, okay? So channel 2 is broad and internal. That's your analysis channel. That's where you're trying to plan things out, where you're doing that backwards planning, where you're trying to figure out what's going to happen, where the ball is going to be in the future, like metaphorically speaking. So you're trying to say that, like, okay, what is the future going to bring? That's what like really good businesses do. Okay, they're very flexible and they can move. All right, it's not the fact that you can pass the ball to the person. It's the fact that you're passing the ball to where the person's going to be. And that's what you're doing internally, okay? Metaphorically, obviously, because that's internal, okay? So you're planning that, okay? So the next channel is channel 3, and that's the problem-solving channel. I call this the Jeopardy channel. Pretty much, you're solving questions, all right? You're like using your trivia, you're pinpointed, okay? So you're internal and you're narrow, so it's pinpoint. Okay, so in the final one is channel 4. That's your external and your narrow. So what's indicative of that is, like, say a baseball player, he's trying to hit the ball, right? So he's at bat and he's trying to hit the ball. He's trying to do one thing. He's focusing on the ball and how the ball is going to get to him, at what speed, what trajectory, and what to do. He's making a split-second decision, and that's that channel, okay, channel. Okay, so how do we do that, right? Well, look, if you're texting and driving, you might think, hey, maybe I'm on 2 channels at once. You're really not. You're still on one channel, and you just switch back to the other channel, and back to the other channel, and back to the other channel. And you're gonna text some more, and you're about to hit the speed bump, and you go back to the other channel. So the thing is, even though you have those channels and you can only be on one at a time, you can brainwash yourself, or you can auto-script yourself. Have you ever been to the point where you just moved somewhere, right? Or you're used to going to your friend's house, and your friend moved, right? But you get out, you get in your clothes, and you're in a hurry, and you go to his old house. So you went to your friend's old house. Why did you go there? Why didn't you turn where you're supposed to turn? Well, you've been scripted, okay? So if you've done something enough times, especially by the age of 35, it's a weird number, I know, but there's scientific data to prove this. If you've done something enough, it's ingrained in you, it becomes a part of you, okay? So those things are called auto-scripts. It's almost the same thing, or it's exactly the same thing as if you're talking about scripts in video games, like this thing does this, and then it does this if this does this, okay? So that's what that comes from. And then on top of that, you'll be on your channel. So you'll be on your channel and you're auto-scripting below, okay? So that's what happens there. But regardless of that, if you're thinking and you're analyzing something, you're really, really deep down inside thinking about it, then you're scripting on the outside, but you're only in one channel at once, because that's where 99.9% of your focus actually is. That's a number I made up. I don't know if it's true, but it's more than 90% of your focus is going to be in that area, and the rest is just a script that's running. All right. So what I'm going to leave you with is this. Pretty much, you know, if you want to really improve these things, you know, there's things that you can do. Okay, and I'll talk more about it in my book and some of my free products that are coming up. But I just wanted to point out a couple things here, and pretty much, like, think to yourself, like, because, you know, the solution comes within. I can tell you what the solution is a million times, but once you understand the tools, you can pretty much unravel yourself, because everybody's pretty smart, and I believe that. So the thing is, so you have all these channels, right? And the key is to be in the right channel at the right time. I can't say that enough. So if you're inside your head, you have to find keywords. Like, for example, if I'm in my head and I'm analyzing it and it's affecting the mission or affecting the business plan, I just got to say, hey, get out of my head. That's one trigger, gets me out of my head, and then I can focus on the mission and I can appease the people or the planning process that I need to be in, all right? So I hope that you learned something. Hope you found it useful. If you did, comment below. If you have a lot of gripes or maybe you don't believe the things that I'm saying, that's fine too. I'd like to hear what you have to say, and we can have some pretty good debate and discourse over that. So nothing's perfect, everything's arguable. So that's definitely something I'd love to hear about, because the more I learn, the better I am. The more you learn, the better you are, obviously. So yeah, I'll leave you with that. Thanks for watching. The next episode is going to be kind of silly. I think we're going to go ahead and test that Chinese proverb. Can you learn 3 things from anybody that you meet? And you'll be probably surprised at who we go ahead and interview. So, all right, stick around, and like I said, if you comment below, that'd be great, and then go ahead and subscribe too if you haven't already done so. All right, thanks for watching.